And now, your Pickle Gals.
Hi, Pickle Gal fans. We are back. It is season 2. I'm Krishan Spackman.
And I'm Rachel Roney.
And together we are
the Pickle Gals.
And we are happy to be back with you. We are so grateful for all the views that we've been getting. And, this is season 2, as you may or may not know by now, episode 5. So it's coming along quite quickly. And we're super excited as well that we've been able to maintain about a 60-40 female to male viewership, which was our initial goal and hope in the beginning. So super stoked about that.
Yeah, that's a cool statistic because I think we talked about that in the coaching realms and stuff too. So super interesting. Definitely like and follow us. You can still check out the first season, which was more of us in the studio having topics and conversation on pickleball, whereas this one is really fun to be able to talk to some really cool guests in the pickleball space, specifically some female leaders that we're able to chat with. So
yeah, we've been blessed with all of our guests so far, and today's not going to be any different. Today we're going to have a special guest for you and for us that we get to learn from. We're going to talk about bringing the mind and sport and performance all together and what that looks like. It's way underutilized, way undervalued, but it is trending upward. So we're very excited to have a special guest with us, Amanda Sovik-Johnston, to dive into performance, mindset, give us some tips on how we can do it. She specializes in high achieving athletes. So we're excited to bring Amanda on today. And with that, court is now in session, and let's bring Amanda into the scene.
Hi, you all.
Hi, Amanda.
Hello.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. Obviously, I do the Zen pickleball, so this was right in line. I think that's how we ran into each other at a tournament a few months ago. And so I know that you have the active and connected family therapy. So first off, just tell us a little about you, like from psychology to how you got into pickleball and put these things together.
Yep. So I am the CEO and founder of Active and Connected Family Therapy. We provide mental health for people, all members of the family, specifically in Virginia. But my personal practice is with high achieving athletes. All I really want to do is talk about sports, and I love to compete, love to see what my body can do. And so what has ended up happening is that a lot of the high achieving athletes in Virginia end up coming to me because it's so easy. We have such a quick and nice, easy dialogue about how do we get people feeling better, having more fun, performing better. And it's fun for me, and I think it's pretty helpful for them too.
Hey, Rachel, are we paying for an hourly session?
Listen, I told you this is my kind of fun, y'all. This is all I want to talk about.
Well, we're tricking you into giving us tips. So.
No kidding. This was a wise idea, Rachel. Wise idea. I envy that. Maybe you thought about it before I did. Well, I can tell you, about 2 years ago, I won't say a performance slump. I had 2 tournaments back to back. I think we talked a little about this in season 1. I had 2 tournaments back to back that I just really did not perform well at all. And I don't think the performance by itself was the reason that I ended up going to a sports psychologist when I got back in town. It was that combined with the feeling that I'd let my 2 partners down. Tournaments happened to be in California. It was nationals, one of them. And there were very expensive to travel to and a lot of time and commitment. And I mean, we were, I don't want to say out in 2. I think we did better than that, but not much better than that. So I came back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I didn't perform well. My partners have wasted all their time and money. I feel like I looked bad. And when I came back, I'm like, I can feel my head cracking. My confidence was shattering. And so I wish I knew you then. I desperately just started Googling, and I found somebody that was amazing for me. So talk about, like, how does that work, that relationship to performance and letting people down, and how your mind can be so fragile and what you can do.
I think what you said is super interesting, which is, I think for women in particular, and I'm not going to say all women, but it does sound like you have a very highly female audience, right? And so I think the relationship aspect of the pickleball partnership is a little bit more intense for us. Like you just said, one of the things that happened for me is I was worried I was letting my partner down. I'm not saying men aren't thinking that. I'm sure that they are. But when I'm not in the right headspace, I might think that in between every single point, right? Like, oh, I messed that up. They're mad at me. Oh, I messed that up. Like they gave me a weird look. And I can get into my head specifically about the relationship because women are wired that way, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that figuring out how to get out of that sort of any sort of thinking in between points and when you're actually trying to compete is a really important part of the game. But even it's a really important skill in life, but you have to practice it. And that is a challenge.
Yeah, I love that you said that too. That's something I've asked people as well. I don't know that everyone's aware of what they're thinking on the court. I agree with you. Women are more wired for connection and kind of creating that partnership, friendship. But to that point, getting out of your head and into your body, that's such a difficult task because you're connected, obviously. So in terms of athletics and that performance anxiety, how do you see that kind of playing out in terms of the tools that work?
Absolutely. So here's the reality is that we all perform the best. There's like a bell curve, right? So if you have not enough anxiety, you're not going to perform well. If you have too much anxiety, you're not going to perform well. So sort of the sweet spot is just like this little middle piece of anxiety, and that's good, healthy for you all the time. But when you're actually competing, you want to be able to get 100% into your body, right? It's all about being centered in your body, feeling your body, not overthinking. Okay. So how do we do that? Right? How do you actually get into your body? That's the real question, right? So the first thing is anxiety is always rooted in the future or in the past, right? So if you mess up a pickleball point, right? I might be like, oh, I'm always missing every return. Like this is truly, they're always so shallow. Like, why haven't I drilled this? Like, I'm letting my partner down. I'm just like every time. And then I'm like, I'm going to get it right this time. So that's me thinking about the past, right? That's my anxiety in the past. Someone hits a serve to me. I'm automatically going to mess that up because I'm so tense about it that clearly I'm going to mess it up. That's just the way it goes, right? So, or if you're thinking about your anxiety in the future, that's when you're thinking about, if I don't win this game, I'm going to miss this opportunity to qualify for something. If I don't hit this serve back in the right corner, my partner's going to be mad at me and I won't have any friends anymore, right? So, I mean, you guys, these are crazy thoughts, but have you had them?
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, right?
Rachel, real quick, do you remember we had that podcast on partnerships are like dating and the breakups are real and everything you're saying is like.
I know, it's so intense and it feels hard and it's complicated and it's so relationally heavy. So I just told my partner today, actually, I was like, I hope you don't think I'm worried about what you think about me. Cause I can't control what you think about me. I can't control it. So I'm not going to worry about it. Like doing my own thing. You can think whatever you want, but it's not coming in here. Right. Cause that's the only way to keep me. It's the only way to keep me sane. If I start worrying about, oh, for sure. Because if I'm worrying about what he's thinking about me, then I'm not worrying about, I'm worrying. I'm not in my own body, right? I just can't let that in. Now, guys, just FYI, I'm also making all of these mistakes. I sound like I'm not. I am making all of them because you hear the thoughts coming. But I sort of like am able to recognize them and think about them and try to do things differently. So here's the deal, okay? So anxiety is in the past. Anxiety is in the future. So what we want to do is we want to get into the present. Right? That's sort of the antidote to living in anxiety. It's figuring out how do we get into the present, totally in our body and not worrying about the past or the future. And so part of the way you get into the present is really to just plug into your senses, right? That is when you take the moment to plug into your senses because your senses are what connect you to the here and now, right? So taste, you can't really use with pickleball, right? So my son just came home and slammed the door. It's fine. So,
but clearly your senses were working. You could hear it.
Oh, I could hear it. I'm very, very plugged into what's happening in my body right now. But so taste doesn't really work with pickleball, right? Smell interestingly, so I'm a swimmer. I come from a swimming background. So I actually plug into smell a little bit because the chlorine, there's enough of a smell that when I take a deep smell and I'm at the pool, I feel grounded because that smell is familiar to me, right? That smell helps me feel checked into my body. In pickleball, it might be different because sometimes you're inside, sometimes you're outside. It's just a little bit different. So I think with pickleball, you're really thinking about what do you see, what do you hear, and what does your body physically feel? I'm not talking about what are your emotions. I mean, like, what does your body physically feel? And so what you will want to do is you're going to want to give yourself the opportunity to get into the present every single point, right? Like at the beginning of every single point, you want to be saying something to yourself, or you want to have some sort of ritual that's going to connect you to the here and now. It's going to protect you. It's going to be your boundary from all of those other worries. And you're just going to drop right in to what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're feeling.
Yeah, I think that's super true. And coming from tennis, we always had a serve routine.
Yep.
And so I brought that into my pickleball game, bouncing the ball, looking, and taking a breath. It doesn't matter if it's a serve or a return. That's my personal way of like reminding myself that it's a reset and kind of getting on my toes ready for that first play to happen.
And so I bet like you must like feel your breath and you feel yourself on your toes, right? And that is sort of your body's way of saying, be here, whatever happened, happened, and I'm not thinking about what's about to happen, right? So you have that ritual, and it's important to create those rituals because that actually does protect us from the past and from the future.
Yeah.
So the ritual I use is I just like obsessively, it's like embarrassing. People make fun of me. It is what it is, right? Is I just hit the ball 10 times. I hear it. I feel it, right? I feel it and I like see it. Some people say like look directly at the little tiny holes because it really forces you to focus on what you see. And so you specifically look at what you can see, you ground yourself in the present, and then you go.
I love that.
And as I'm hearing this, I'm hearing in the back of my mind, various people, whether it's personalities or just life experience. I think people have to, like, step one is even just accept that mindset. And I like this conversation of being in your body is tied to performance, period.
Of course it is.
Right?
I mean,
like, I think people underappreciate and undervalue that.
I mean, I think people do, but the reality is that almost every professional athlete is seeing a psychologist. People are not getting better without getting their mindset better. And ultimately, we're only talking about one small part of mindset, right? We're talking about how do you get into the present and how do you practice that? But there's also, how do you make sure you're having fun? How do you make sure that you are creating balance in your life so that you don't get burnt out? How do you make sure that you are actually working on the right things? There's so many different pieces of performance in order to get to the next level. It's too hard to do it alone. It's just too hard to do it alone. And so ultimately, most people who are achieving at a high level are getting significant support with their mental game. Significant.
Yeah. And sometimes I struggle with like how people don't get it. I mean, I have to admit, years and years ago, I was brought up kind of in this black and white way of thinking. And so anything that had to do with counseling and psychology and those kind of were soft, touchy, feely things. And there was just like this disconnect in appreciating the effects of your mindset. And then I'll watch somebody who feels that way, because there are people still out there today. Right? I'll see them, but then I'll watch them like get mad at themselves about making, say, two errors in a row, 2 errors back to back. And I'm like, now you don't think that you're the fact that you're beating yourself up, the negative self-talk, if you want me to use the right words.
Correct.
I don't think that's affecting the next ball you're hitting. I'm like, that's what we're talking about here.
And so,
Negative or positive, it affects you.
Absolutely, because those mistakes are going to happen, right? One mistake is going to happen. No one has a perfect game. There's not a perfect game out there, right? And so if you're not having a perfect game, the question is how do you continue to strive and how do you get over those mistakes, right? How do you handle it when you make a mistake and get yourself right back in there? And that's a skill. It's easy for some people, it's easier, but unless they're Michael Phelps is always mine because I'm a swimmer, unless they're Michael Phelps, they're going to have that moment. And how are they going to handle that?
Yeah.
You try something different when, like when I went to my guy, he we came up with a couple of things and I remember like trying them my first 2 or 3 tournaments.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, look at this. This is fantastic. And then I remember a point in time when I would try to go through that same, I would go through that same process, but it started losing its effect.
That's a great question. Do you know what was getting in the way? Like, do you have a theory on why it stopped working?
So you really are good because now you're making me reflect. And as I reflect, things start to resonate because this has been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But what started to just resonate, just literally live right now, was that there was an alter voice. Another voice in my head, probably reminding me that.
Correct.
Yeah, you need to do this reset routine right now because you just screwed up. You know what I mean? So now that you say it, I do think there were competing voices. How do you calm that noise down?
Voice 1 and 2.
Yes. Okay. Yes. You guys know I'm with you guys on voice 1 and 2. So to me, that's where actually you might lean even farther into the routine, right? Like maybe you might need to take a time out and just center yourself. I know that I have an issue when people take time outs and want to talk. I'm like, no way. I'm in my body. Like, I guess sometimes you have to, but if I'm feeling good and I'm in my body, please don't give me any thoughts, right? Like, so let's actually not be together. We can chill out. We can use that minute to get back into our body, like get in touch with our senses, do whatever we need to do. But I think it's good for you to realize. So do you think there was a difference in how frequently you had practiced turning off voice 2? Is that the one, or voice 1? Voice 1 is the one telling you what to do, right?
I think so.
Voice 1 is the one. Voice 1 is the one that's chatting in your ear.
Yeah.
And voice 2 is like
Constantly.
like your body, right? So we're talking about the book, what's it called? The Mental Game of Tennis.
Or the inner game of tennis.
Self 1, self 2.
Self 1 and self 2. So that's what we're talking about right here. And we're talking about how do we quiet self 1, because self 1 can be critical. It keeps us in our head. It's in our anxiety. And self 2 is more in our body, just letting our body be and our body pushing ourselves and learning what our body can do.
And I've thought of self 2 sometimes as the pleaser, right? The pleasing of trying to please that self 1.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And that's when I think, maybe, is it Sybil that had 9 personalities?
Yeah.
There's multiple.
That's what's happening in my head.
So to me, I'm like, how do you quiet voice 1, which is just dropping into your body? And so what I do truly is, because I need to drop into my body on the pickleball court, but I also need to drop into my body like with my husband and with my kids, because I'll be running around all the things that I need to do. So I have to drop into my body then. Luckily, I practice dropping into my body every day on the pickleball court, right? So I have created that routine about like, what do I hear? What do I see? What do I feel? That's really grounding to me, and I really plug into it. For me, a lot is noise also, I think, because I was a swimmer, like feeling underwater. So you plug into it, and you have to actually practice it really well. I would say 5 to 10 times every practice that you do in pickleball. Because if you're not practicing it when you're like for real, if you're not practicing it during not really during a drill session, but like maybe if you're like doing any simulated matches to get ready for a tournament, you need to be practicing that skill 5 to 10 times a day, like regularly, before you expect yourself to be able to apply it when the pressure is really on.
Yeah, it's building a habit, and that takes time and reps, just like repping a bunch of drops or something.
That's exactly right. And so when you create a routine, like I always do it, I used to do it on return of serve because I would get really into the visual of the ball, right? And when I'm really locked in, I like don't even stop looking at the ball. Like, you know, someone else is like throwing the ball back and I've got my eyeballs on the ball because that helps me stay locked in. But I forget what I was going to say, but I think the idea is ultimately that you have to practice it if you want to use it. And so I also practice it, right? Like I might practice it when I'm with my kids and they're being crazy today, right? You just use it so that you can rely on it when you really need it.
So when you say into your body, is that how you describe being in touch with your senses?
Yes, that is.
Being into your body is, so see some pickleball, see, hear, and feeling your body.
Yep. And so one way I really built this muscle for me is about 10 times a day, I would stop and I would say, what do I see? What do I feel? What do I hear? That's like step one, right? Yeah. 10 times a day, like, what do I see? What do I feel? What do I hear? Even when I said that to you, did you guys feel your body like calm down a little bit? Yeah.
I think
crazy, right?
It's fascinating. And I think to your point too, you were talking about how if someone's trying to talk to you during competition, it's like step one is you have to do it yourself first.
Correct.
The second step is and we've talked about this, Krishan, is what's my partner's pickleball love language? Some people think you're mad at them if you don't want to talk in between the points.
Right.
It's then relationally with another person. So it's like these tiers of awareness.
So for me, what I have found is I'm like such a social person. I can't stop myself, right? So I really like to have a few people that I play with frequently, because if I'm with, every time I switch partners, I want to chat. I'm like, oh, like, tell me how your day was. Like, or I'm like getting back into the relational piece, and therefore I'm out of my body. So knowing your pickleball partner's love language is important, because you're able to say to them like months before, hey, if I take a time out and I say, let's not talk, that has nothing to do with you. That's just me knowing that I'm sort of in the zone and I don't want to interrupt it. You do whatever you need, and like, we can get back to that. Or if you really need to say something to me, great. I love it. I hear it. Guess what? They'll say something, and then I'm like tap, 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 tap on my paddle like a crazy person. And I'm like, I'm not thinking about it anymore, because I've got the routine around all of my thoughts.
And the routine that you're using, it's, because I was thinking about, if I tried to ask myself those 3 questions between points, one of the big differences that I learned, I did not play racket sports, or, clearly that means tennis. And so whenever I was talking about trying to come up with something, it was originally based off of tennis. I guess there's 30 seconds or something like that between serves or something like this. And in pickleball, I realized, I would get like halfway through my routine and be like, oh crap, I got to serve, or I got to return.
That's a long routine.
Yeah. I don't have enough time. It's not 30 seconds of pickleball. I don't have enough time. So like, what are some things, thinking about pickleball and the fact that, man, sometimes I feel like it's 10 seconds. It's, it's 10 seconds to serve, isn't it? Once they call score.
I think so.
50 seconds to serve. But the point is much different than tennis. There's much less time between points when you've got to be ready to go again.
Yep.
To have very lengthy reset or re-engage or whatever routine. So, what kind of ideas or strategies might there be, or tools, knowing that there's not a whole lot of time between points? And
Yep.
do you do the same one every time throughout a game, or?
I do the same one every time. I think that's useful, but I think ultimately I'm not walking into a situation thinking this is going to work if I give myself 10 seconds to do it. I have walked in with practicing it many, 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 many times so that automatically when I say, what do I hear? My body is used to that dropping me down into my body. I don't need the time. I don't need a 30-second routine because it's not new. My neurons know what to do because I have taught them what to do, because that is part of my practice. It has to be a part of our practice.
Yeah.
And so that's where the mental stuff really impacts performance on the back end, because you have to have included it all the way along.
So if I toggled to something that was really enlightening for me, all my life, all I heard in sport was to have goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, all of those goals were measurable goals.
Yep.
And I played college basketball, so this free throws, percentage, field goal percentage, everything was measurable. And when I started playing pickleball, I don't remember who guided me this way, but I had someone say, okay, so go have a goal of 80% of your drops are in or good.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. And then, fast forward a few years, go crap the bed playing pickleball and need to go to a psychologist, which was the best thing I ever did, by the way. And the first thing he says to me, he goes, well, after the, what's your negative self, what's your self-talk? We talked about that. But then he said, what are your goals when you get on the court? And I start talking about my goals when I get on the court. He goes, do you have any goals that are not measurable?
Like process versus outcome based.
Yep.
Measurable.
Yeah.
And then he talked about how when you have measurable goals, that's pressure, and then the
For
effect
sure.
on performance. Can you talk to that a little bit?
So again, I think measurable goals end up becoming self-won, right? That's where you're like, you have to do this.
Oh.
Like if you want to get your goal, if you want to hit 80%, then you have to get this one because you're at 79% right now, right?
You can't not get it.
Correct. So you start spinning about that the second that pressure is on, right? And that, I think the old way of thinking used to be then give yourself a measurable goal in practice because that's what you're going to use in a game. But actually the opposite is true. We're talking about process goals in practice because you're actually going to use the same process goals in a game because that's actually going to improve your performance. So when I talk about the process or the non-measurable goals, one of the things I do in order to be I don't do this for my pickleball career, maybe I should, but I do this for like my clients, which is I like to go into every practice with 3 things that I'm working on, right? So one of them is going to be a mindset goal, right? So one of them is going to be make sure I practice my routine as many times as I can, right? Listen, feel, and see as much as I can during this practice, right?
Okay.
So that's a process goal. I might say, okay, I always need to work on my drive. So I might say, okay, I'm going to work on some specific part of my drive and then maybe footwork, whatever it is. But
Sure.
It's going to allow you to do the smaller things so that you can work on those smaller things instead of think about whatever the big goal is. Because if you have the right plan, the process is going to lead to the outcome that you want.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's the progress piece, right? So I kind of look at it, the process based versus outcome based is you can control processes, you can't control outcomes.
Absolutely.
Is the difference, right?
Absolutely. And I actually, I see a lot of college athletes who are kind of burnt out, right? Some of them can be really burnt out. And so I really pull in the social goals as part of the process. So if you really aren't having that much fun going to practice and you want to bring the fun back, maybe one of your processes is like, I'm going to get 5 good laughs. Like I'm going to look for the moment where I've laughed, right? A full body laugh. I'm looking for that because that's an important part of the game. That's why we're all doing it. Is because it's fun, right? So when are we having fun and making sure that we're allowing for opportunities and realizing that is just as important as hitting our drive the way we want to hit it. Otherwise, we're going to all give up and quit.
Yeah, I mean, that mental pressure creates tension in the body. So if you're lighter mentally, having fun, then it just translates on.
Absolutely.
And I admit, I had to literally be like, what's an example of having a goal that's not measurable? I mean, I was so wired. Again, I don't know if that's from basketball and old school, but I was so wired on measurable goals. So I know, just to share a couple, like I remember one of the things he said is, I'm going to go out there and be the most positive, supportive partner I can be.
Yep.
I'm going to go out and play my best, whatever that best looks like today.
Yep.
You know, and to your point, Rachel, about the uncontrollables, he's like, you can't control, you may play an opponent that's rated or ranked below you that just plays out of their mind that match, you know, out of their mind. You can't control that, you know, so these are like, now it's so funny because now, just 2 years later, for me, it's so easy to come up with non-measurable goals. So I can be a testament that you can transform from measurable to non-measurable goals.
And are you having more fun? Like, do you think your pickleball has improved?
I will tell you, well, I definitely felt like it improved. The biggest thing was kind of what Rachel, you alluded to as well. There isn't near as much of that tension and pressure. There's no thought in my mind at all going, am I 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10? I mean, I don't care, you know, because I write 3 things on my hand every tournament. So what I write on my hand is trust the process. Trust the ingredients. And the ingredients is what I say is the drilling and the work you do to get ready. And then there might be a third one that says like, have fun. But on the have fun thing real quick, and I know we're running out of time, but it's just ironic that came up because I think it was like 3 days ago, a group of 4 gals, we got together and played, and we ended up going indoor because of rain or whatever. And I don't know what started it, but we could not stop laughing.
Great.
Had nothing to do with pickleball at all. At all. Yeah, it was kind of, some of it was even morbid of how it came about. But we just started cracking up so badly that in the middle of a point, I lost it. And I could not control myself. And my partner's just running left and right because the point's still going, but I'm done. I've lost it. And it probably took 2 days for that high. I'll call it a high.
Yeah.
It probably took 2 days for that high we were texting like, oh my God, that was the most crazy, fun, awesome experience I've had in like years.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you keep that fire. How do you keep the fun?
No, I think the world sort of like wants to suck joy out of us, right? Like I'm like, oh, I have to get my kids to school. They have to get straight A's, like whatever, all those outcome goals. And so I ultimately put pickleball on my calendar every day because I know it's bringing me joy, right? And so I think it's going into whatever it is that we're doing and knowing that we're looking for joy. And to me, that makes me want to cry because also when you're laughing, you're connected to other people and you're dropped into your body, right? Like a laugh is totally dropped into your body. And that's what I kind of think we're missing in life. There's a mental health crisis out there. I really think that pickleball is like the way to fight it because it allows us to be in our bodies and it allows us to be connected, right? Yeah. Connected to other people, connected to ourselves, working on hard things. And when you have that moment, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful and it's such a gift. And we just sort of have to allow ourselves to be there for it and be open to having that.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I agree. I think I was actually journaling about this the other day of the joy of pickleball really is the fact that we found it and it was a game and it was cool and it brought you back to kind of being a kid and just kind
absolutely
of something nobody had been here before. So it was just a joyful playground of really authentic people hanging out because no one knew you from the boardroom or this and that. It was just this collection of people enjoying a game. And so I hope we can maintain some of that because I agree with you. That playfulness in life as an adult is something I'm super passionate about. as well.
And we have to fight for it, and we have to find other people that are fighting for it. I think they happen to be on the pickleball court, and and we have to continue to kind of work to keep it that way, because our games will improve if we do, but we'll also be just like happier and healthier human beings. You really got me on a cheesy rant. You really are.
Yeah, I love this
Well,
stuff. Very
but
good.
it's a great way to wrap up, because at the end of the day, one of the most popular shirts out there is "Pickleball is addictive," right? Or "Addicted to Pickleball." And I have often thought to myself, it truly is, and not in a joking way. It's like really addictive. And then when you peel that onion back, you're like, we're talking about a sport. We're talking about, I don't care if you play recreationally, I don't care if you play adaptive pickleball or you play competitively or professionally. It's still a sport. And when we think of sport, it's always intense and pressure and drive, and all of that exists. But somehow with pickleball, there's this whole layer and culture of fun that we're having while doing it. And I've heard about runner's high. My joke is, I've never seen someone running down the road smiling.
Haven't done it, but
Well, I've never seen a runner running down the road smiling, but I've seen a lot of walkers walking that are smiling. So I don't know runner's high, but the addiction part of it has to be because of the gift pickleball is giving us as people, in our mind and in our body and in our spirit.
Yes.
That makes no sense otherwise.
I fully believe you.
Right. I mean, so to your point about, we have a mental health crisis in this world for lots of different reasons, and to think that this game or sport, however you want to look at it, can bring some healthy habits and some joy into your life. I think Rachel, that's probably how we even got this podcast going, right? It wasn't about, it was like fascination with the fact that how many people we get to know and learn and meet. Now we're going to Canada because I met someone in Canada at a tournament. Now I'm going to visit Canada to have a vacation. And it's crazy, it's mind blowing. So,
and I think, Amanda, what you've been able to kind of do and reinforce here is what you said earlier about how it translates into life. The thing I love about this and any sport really is what it is your playground. How you handle that on the court, probably how you handled it in the parking lot with whoever. It really does translate, I think.
And it's beautiful. I don't know if I think there's anything more beautiful in life than connecting with other people. I think that at least for me, that's my purpose. But I also like to connect with my body. That's really important to me. And those are gifts. And that is, I think, the meaning. And if we found a way to do that on a regular basis, we are so lucky. We are so lucky to have this addiction. I feel so lucky.
Yeah. Nothing like a 20 by 44 foot court to bring joy back into life. That's when you can. So, well, I tell you what, I really wish this podcast could go about another hour, because
you were right. We could talk forever.
Told you.
There's just so much more.
If people want a little deeper dive into this, where can they find you? How can they get started on this kind of path?
So I run the podcast Active and Connected Family Therapy. It's actually more about mental health for kids and families, but you can already tell from me, I talk a lot about sports. I talk about a lot about life. We're pretty relatable. And so if you have kids and families, you can find us there. We're also at Active Connected Family Therapy on Instagram.
Fantastic. Okay. And I know we're going way over, but I'm not going to let you get away, Rachel. I want you to plug. I want you to plug. You've got a mind body pickleball event in October or something, correct?
Yeah, I was hoping Amanda wasn't at the wedding for it, but oh good. Maybe she can consult me first. But yes, I'm super passionate about this subject too. So I love that we were able to connect with you. The Zed Pickleball for me went back to college tennis and understanding, getting the yips and being like, what is happening, and kind of trying to figure my own process out. So I've been testing it with pickleball, just little programming pieces with Zen, pickleball, and yoga, and being grounded on the court, things like that. And that we're now going to turn into a full day and a half camp that goes from skill building to actual competition, where you're going to try to relay that into a more intense setting. So super excited. It's going to be October 18th and 19th here in Richmond, but we're looking at doing it some other places based on how it goes. So
that sounds awesome. I'm like, sign me up. Sounds
yeah,
awesome.
I'm super excited about it. It helps me, and hopefully it helps other people too. That's kind of the goal, right?
Well, and you know what? It follows coaching, right? You drill something, and you ideally put that into a points-based game or some kind of game to practice it. You like Amanda said, you have to practice. One of my big takeaways is I don't know that I practiced the tools that I was given. I went on the court. My practice was when I was playing rec games, but that's too late. So
late. Yep.
That's one of the takeaways I have from today. But the event you're hosting, Rachel, there in Richmond, Virginia, at Performance Pickleball, right?
Yeah, at Performance.
People want to check that out. You know, it follows that same model. You're going to teach some things that they can put right into practice, and I think that's what connects everything together, and people can actually adapt it more quickly into their day-to-day life on and off the court. So it's been an absolute pleasure, Amanda. I'll be calling you right after this.
Great. This is so fun.
You're hired.
But yeah, you're hired. You're hired. The Pickle Gals clinical psychologist, Amanda. So thank you so very much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And with that, Pickle Gals, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time for episode 6. And until then, court is adjourned.